Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is Explanation of Battle Through the Heavens episode number 211 based on novel. So let's start. Xiao Yang reached out with his hand in front of the many pairs of eyes while he stood in the sky. Subsequently, he firmly grabbed the black light pillar with his hand. The moment his hand touched the light pillar, he was able to sense a slight heartbeat being emitted from within. This heartbeat seemed as though there was a living creature within the light pillar. This purifying demonic lotus flame has actually reached such a level. It is really no different than an ordinary human. Surprise flashed across Xiao Yang's heart as he sensed the heartbeat being emitted from the purifying demonic lotus flame sealed in the light pillar. He was about to quickly turn around and withdraw when the surrounding space suddenly began to fluctuate. A figure broke out of this space. His large hand was extended and all of Xiao Yang's paths of retreat were sealed. The purifying demonic lotus flame is not something that you can take. Xiao Yang's heart quivered after hearing this dense cry appear beside his ear. Chief of the Hall of Souls? This fellow has recovered really quickly. Xiao Yang swiftly lifted his head while feeling shocked. He could see the Chief of the Hall of Souls pouncing over like an enormous eagle. A dark black dough chi quietly gathered on his hand before it ruthlessly grabbed towards Xiao Yang's head. From the looks of it, he was intent on delivering a fatal strike. The speed of the Chief of the Hall of Souls was as quick as lightning. Adding to the stillness of the surrounding space, Xiao Yang was unable to dodge at this moment. There is no demonic flame, but there is a fire lotus. I shall give it to you. Xiao Yang did not panic at this critical moment. His many years of training had allowed him to experience all sorts of situations. It was impossible for him to lose himself to panic because of the Chief of the Hall of Souls. His body pulled back while an extermination-like energy fluctuation suddenly appeared from his sleeve. Xiao Yang's sleeve was suddenly turned into dust due to this fluctuation. A five-colored fire lotus appeared in Xiao Yang's palm. The five-colored fire lotus was an extermination fire lotus made up of 5 genuine heavenly flames. Xiao Yang did not slight an opponent as strong as the Chief of the Hall of Souls. He had used his strongest attack as his first strike. It was fortunate that Xiao Yang's strength had soared. Otherwise, he would not have been able to perfectly merge 5 types of heavenly flames in such a short amount of time. After the fire lotus was formed, Xiao Yang's expression remained indifferent as he stared at the rapidly growing human figure in front of his eyes. At this moment, his heart had become unusually calm. The lightning-fast figure of the Chief of the Hall of Soul gradually became clear in his eyes. I'll give it to you. The Chief of the Hall of Souls was so fast that it was terrifying. In a flash, he had appeared in front of Xiao Yang. At this moment, Xiao Yang's body tensed like a pulled bow. It erupted in an instant and the extermination fire lotus in his hand was thrown in front of the Hall Chief. Explode. A ruthlessness flashed across Xiao Yang's eyes as he tossed the fire lotus out. He did not pull back. Instead, he exploded the extermination fire lotus. The speed of the Chief of the Hall of Souls was too quick. As long as the Chief of the Hall of Souls was given the time to catch his breath, he might be able to escape the area where the fire lotus was the strongest. Lunatic. Xiao Yang's act of risking it all caused the Chief of the Hall of Souls to furiously curse. His body finally revealed some signs of sluggishness as it suddenly shot back. However, the fire lotus exploded while he did. Bang! A loud shocking sound caused one's ears to become momentarily deaf as it echoed through the distant sky. The sky seemed to have sank into a mysterious silence after that extremely powerful noise was emitted. A 10,000-foot large firestorm swept over the sky. One side of the storm was connected to the sea of magma below while the other extended to the sky itself. It seemed as though space itself had emitted a cracking sound from not being able to bear the strength of the rotating storm. Many stunned eyes watched this storm. They were as tiny as ants beneath this large and overbearing firestorm. This person. Han Feng's expression was a little grave as he stared at this firestorm. Even at his full strength, he might not be able to receive such a terrifying attack. Will anything happen to the Hall Chief? The Deputy Hall Chief of the Hall of Souls flashed down and asked in a deep voice. The strength from the merger of heavenly flames might be quite strong, but Xiao Yang's actual strength is far too weak. It will not be an easy matter to kill the Hall Chief. Han Feng faintly replied. Prepare yourself. We will immediately act and snatch the purifying demonic lotus flame once we have the opportunity to do so. The Deputy Chief of the Hall of Souls nodded. His eyes observed the sky with caution. The enormous firestorm raged for 10 minutes before it gradually scattered. 100,000-foot large seemingly bottomless pit appeared in the sea of magma below after the storm scattered. Looking from a distance, it appeared like the large mouth of an unfathomable demon. The space a short distance away became distorted after the firestorm disappeared. 2 figures appeared. One was a somewhat pale Xiao Yang while the other was Zi Yang. You are really too crazy. If you ended up getting caught in it, you would also have been destroyed by the fire lotus. Zi Yang parted a lock of purple hair in front of her forehead as she glared at Xiao Yang and furiously chided him. Xiao Yang smiled, but he did not say anything. He lifted his head and scanned the spot where the firestorm had disappeared. There was a human figure stepping through the empty air and slowly walking away from that spot. He is indeed not dead, huh? Xiao Yang involuntarily shook his head upon seeing this human figure. He appeared somewhat disappointed. No wonder you are someone who has managed to cause my Hall of Souls to repeatedly fail. You do deserve to be looked at in a better light. The human figure slowly walked out of the smoke and revealed a pale face. That figure was surprisingly the chief of the Hall of Souls. He had managed to survive the extermination fire lotus, but from the hint of blood on the corner of his mouth, he was not in a good state after suffering such a fire lotus strike. The expressions of Sun Er's group changed when they saw that the chief of the Hall of Souls was still alive. They quickly moved their bodies and surrounded Xiao Yang. Their eyes cautiously stared at the Hall chief in the process. Do the both of you think that you have fully grasped my strength when we cooperated earlier? If that is really the case, the both of you might perhaps be shocked now. The chief of the Hall of Souls glanced at Sun Er's group. After which, his eyes paused on both Zi Yang and Jiyu Nanhai. He gave a strange smile before lifting his hands and gently forming a seal. Following the formation of this hand seal, the aura of the Hall chief suddenly soared in front of many shocked pairs of eyes. Within a short dozen-plus seconds, he had broken through the barrier of the advanced 4th star of the Dosheng class and vaguely reached the initial 5th star of the Dosheng class. 5-star Dosheng? The expression of Xiao Yang's group immediately became ugly upon sensing the aura of the chief of the Hall of Souls, which had suddenly become powerful. This Hall chief had been hiding his strength. You dare to intervene even after reaching the 5th star of the Dosheng class? Looks like you have treated the agreement between the ancient clans as nothing. Jiyu Nanhai spoke in a deep voice. If the chief of the Hall of Souls had merely been an advanced 4-star Dosheng, there was no need to fear him if he cooperated with Zi Yang. However, if the other party was a 5-star Dosheng, the both of them would have little chance of a victory. Ha, I have merely luckily taken half a step into the 5th star of the Dosheng class. Honestly speaking, I am not really a 5-star Dosheng. Hence, the agreement has not been broken. The chief of the Hall of Souls faintly smiled. After which, he stepped through empty space without uttering any unnecessary words as he slowly walked towards Xiao Yang's group. Hand over the demonic flame essence. In your dreams. Zi Yang's eyes were slightly cold. She took a step forward and golden light surged. It agglomerated into a large golden dragon that wildly shot toward the chief of the Hall of Souls. Shatter. However, the chief of the Hall of Souls slowly shook his head when he sensed Zi Yang's attack. He pressed his finger gently against the air. One saw the big golden dragon burst apart when it was 100 feet in front of him. Zi Yang softly moaned and staggered back since she had a connection to the exploding golden dragon. Everyone involuntarily felt their expressions change when they saw Zi Yang suffer a serious injury from just one strike. The gap between a 5-star Dosheng and an advanced 4-star Dosheng was this wide. If this had occurred earlier, the chief of the Hall of Souls would not have been able to defeat Zi Yang with such ease. Both Zi Yang and I are exhausted. It seems that this fellow has been able to recover extremely quickly. Even if both Zi Yang and I are to work together, we will still not be a match for him. Jiyu Nanhai stated in a deep voice. Although an ancient void dragon is extremely powerful, attempting to challenge someone of a high level is difficult. Hand over the demonic flame essence. This chief shall allow all of you to leave in peace on account of our cooperation earlier. The chief of the Hall of Souls placed both of his hands behind him. Hun Feng and the deputy hall chief had rushed behind him. Their eyes were sinister as they stared at Xiao Yang's group. Xiao Yang's eyes flickered. Veins appeared on his arm as he tightened his grip on the black light pillar. The chief of the Hall of Souls was too strong. Even using the extermination fire lotus had not seriously injured him, but it was impossible for Xiao Yang to abandon the demon flame essence. I have long since heard that you are as cunning as a fox. However, this chief will not give you an opportunity to escape today. The chief of the Hall of Souls merely laughed while Xiao Yang's eyes flashed. He suddenly stepped through empty air as his body slipped by a couple of people in a ghost-like fashion. He appeared in front of Xiao Yang as his palm reached for the top of Xiao Yang's head. Young fellow, die. The chief of the Hall of Souls unleashed his full strength with this attack. An ordinary person only saw space fluctuate before the hand of the Hall chief was only an inch away from the top of Xiao Yang's head. How can my descendant be killed just because you say so? A skinny hand suddenly appeared above Xiao Yang's head just as the chief of the Hall of Souls was about to grab Xiao Yang. A finger was flicked and the hand of the Hall chief was sent flying. At the same time, a somewhat hoarse voice slowly echoed. That palm, which originally had no problem striking Xiao Yang, ended up experiencing an unexpected situation. The expression of the chief of the Hall of Soul became gloomy. His eyes glanced at the spot behind Xiao Yang. A person in ordinary clothes was quietly standing at that spot. This person appeared extremely ordinary, but his aura was strange and unfathomable, causing one to have difficulty guessing his exact strength. Who are you? The chief of the Hall of Souls revealed dark and solemn eyes while he cried out. Although he possessed a high position within the Han clan, the era when Xiao Xian was alive far too long ago. Hence, it was impossible for him to recognize the person in front of him as the Blood Axe Xiao Chen, who had been quite renowned in the Xiao clan back then. Ancestor Xiao Chen. Xiao Yang quickly recovered. He quietly sighed in relief after Xiao Chen finally intervened. This ancestor of the Xiao clan had not fought ever since he had escaped the illusion. He merely hid by the side regardless of the intense battles Xiao Yang fought. He would only intervene when Xiao Yang was truly facing a critical moment of life and death. Xiao Chen waved his hand. His character was quiet and eccentric. He was unwilling to say much at this moment. All he did was lift his foot and slowly walk in front of Xiao Yang. His eyes stared at the chief of the Hall of Soul on the other side before he asked in a hoarse voice, "He is a member of the Han clan, right?" Xiao Yang slightly nodded. "In that case, I'll just kill him." Xiao Yang felt awed in his heart after hearing Xiao Chen's low and deep voice. His eyes were a little strange as he glanced at Xiao Chen's back. Only at this moment did he discover that he had never truly been able to see through the actual strength of this ancestor. Although Xiao Chen had been able to defeat Zi Yang and Jiyu Nanhai while in the illusion, he appeared to have barely been able to defeat them. Based on Xiao Yang could infer, Xiao Chen should be an advanced 4-star Dosheng. Even if he was a little stronger, it was likely that he was only an initial 5-star Dosheng, but after Xiao Chen's words escaped his mouth, Xiao Yang finally realized that his guess had been a little on the low side. A couple thousand years of being imprisoned in the illusion. Even if he could not train normally during this long period of time, the little accumulations of achievements, like how dripping water can eventually erode through a stone, would still be enough to shock people. Looks like ancestor Xiao Chen possesses some confidence since he dares to utter these words. "You are a member of the Xiao clan?" The chief of the Hall of Souls narrowed his eyes as he stared at Xiao Chen. A moment later, he suddenly recalled the words Xiao Yang had spoke earlier. His eyes abruptly shrank while his tone was filled with disbelief. How can it be possible? The Xiao clan has already declined. How can it still possess an elite Dosheng? From Xiao Chen's appearance, it was obvious that he had not simply managed to train to this level within a short few decades like Xiao Yang. In that case, he had definitely existed for a long time. Why was it that the Han clan did not possess any information on him? Xiao Yang's expression did not show the slightest sign of being affected when he saw the Hall Chief's shock. His feet merely stepped through the air as he advanced forward. With every step he took, his aura soared like a churning wave. It rose higher and higher as he became even stronger. Intermediate 4-star, advanced 4-star, intermediate 5-star. Xiao Yang and the others revealed surprise as they stared at Xiao Chen's back. Xiao Chen's aura had broken through the 4th star of the Dosheng class within a couple of breaths' time and had reached the intermediate 5th star of the Dosheng class. This strength was a level stronger than the chief of the Hall of Souls. "Who exactly are you?" A change finally appeared on the expression of the chief of the Hall of Souls after sensing Xiao Chen's terrifying aura. He let out a stern cry as Han Feng and the deputy hall chief of the Hall of Souls rushed over from behind him. Their eyes revealed a changing expression as they stared at Xiao Chen. They had clearly started to panic because of this sudden unexpected change. No wonder ancestor Xiao Chen has been able to endure in the illusion of the purifying demonic lotus flame for so many years. His strength has actually reached such a level. A joy flashed across Xiao Yang's eyes as he muttered, "You are really irritating." Xiao Chen merely frowned when he heard the chief of the Hall of Souls' stern cry. He clenched his hand in the empty space in front of him, and a large blood-colored object formed in his hand. In the blink of an eye, this object turned into a giant blood-colored axe. He rotated his hand and the blood-colored axe tore through the air in an instant. It was accompanied by waves of sonic booms as it furiously hacked at the Hall Chief's group below with lightning-like speed. "Quick, withdraw." The expression of the chief of the Hall of Souls changed when he saw Xiao Chen attacked. He waved his sleeve and forced back Han Feng and the deputy hall chief. After which, his mouth swelled and a 5-foot-large black light ball swiftly shot out of his mouth. Waves of miserable screeches were emitted from this ball of light as though countless of souls were devouring each other within it. The blood-colored figure flashed in the sky. Everyone saw a huge blood-colored axe appear above the black light ball, which had just been spat out of the mouth of the chief of the Hall of Souls. A faint voice soon rang out. One could see a bloody line cut through the dark black light ball. A tear which, a bam sounded and it slowly cracked into two. The black light ball had yet to even explode when it was slashed into two by the enormous blood-colored axe. The chief of the Hall of Souls spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression became a little weak as he hurriedly withdrew with a pale face. Xiao Chen's attack was unbelievably sharp. It seemed as though the world would split under the edge of the blood-colored axe. That overbearing aura caused one's heart to tremble. 3 sky-breaking axe. An axe gently slashed the chief of the Hall of Souls attack apart. Xiao Chen did not hold back. He took 2 steps forward without uttering a word. The large blood-colored axe in his hand was slashed forward 3 times with a swoosh sound. The 3 axe attacks merged together, and an ordinary person could only see a red light flash across the sky with their naked eyes. Only experts like the chief of the Hall of Souls could clearly see 3 bright red bloody lines rushing through the sky. They arrived in front of him almost instantly with an extremely terrifying speed. The 3 bloodlines appeared weak, but the chief of the Hall of Souls could sense an extreme danger from them. Spiritual barrier technique. The body of the Hall Chief trembled because of this danger. His soul surfaced from his brow, and the arms of his soul strangely exploded. Black clouds suddenly surged from all directions and blotted out the sun the moment both of his spiritual arms exploded. This almost endless sky seemed to have been saturated by a black fog in the blink of an eye. Countless numbers of sharp spiritual waves spread from the black fog. It appeared like a demonic sound that crazily invaded the depths of everyone's mind. Bang! 3 bloody lines tore through the many layers of black clouds. As the first bloody line broke into the clouds, many ripples began to swiftly form on it. Within a short instant, the first bloody line was forcefully scattered. Even the second bloody line had vaguely become visible. Split. A black fog spread as a sudden hoarse voice slowly gave a command. Soon after, layers of black clouds suddenly burst apart before a bloody line rushed out with lightning-like speed. Finally, it shot into a certain part of the black cloud with shocking speed. The sound of a mouthful of fresh blood being thrown up was emitted as the bloody line shot into a specific region. Soon after, the black clouds that permeated the sky stilled and swiftly withdrew at a speed visible to the naked eye. Everyone could see the sky when the black clouds withdrew. They quickly looked over and saw the chief of the Hall of Souls' body covered in blood. He stood trembling a short distance away. A terrifying wound had appeared from his shoulder to his abdomen. One could even see moving internal organs inside his body. Clearly, that strike from earlier had seriously injured the chief of the Hall of Souls. Xiao Chen displayed an indifferent expression as he glanced at the chief of the Hall of Souls, but there was some surprise in his eyes. Clearly, he had not expected the Hall Chief to survive. An unknown number of experts had fallen to this strike back in his era. The chief of the Hall of Souls revealed ferocious and dense eyes as he stared at Xiao Chen. He hurriedly took out a couple of jade bottles from his storage ring. After which, he applied the medicinal liquid inside to his wound, causing a sizzling white fog to rise. Both of his hands rapidly formed a seal. A black light curtain suddenly appeared and imprisoned both Xiao Chen and him. Old Mo, it is time to intervene after having watched the show for such a long time, right? The chief of the Hall of Souls suddenly cried out after having created the black light prison. Xiao Yang and the others revealed a sudden change in expression after hearing the words of the chief of the Hall of Souls. This Hun clan had hidden an expert in this place. Hun Miesheng, you are really a disappointment. A low elderly sigh finally sounded while Xiao Yang's group swept their eyes around. Xiao Yang suddenly turned his head. His eyes landed on a group of people a short distance away. A grey-clothed old man, whose strength had merely reached the high-level Ban Sheng class, shook his head. He slowly stepped forward with a face full of disappointment. Some changes occurred on his face as a pair of long black eyebrows were lowered, giving him an extremely mysterious appearance. Xiao Yang had roughly glanced over this old man amid the chaotic battle earlier, but the old man had been chased by a fire slave until he was forced to flee in all directions. Hence, Xiao Yang had not paid much attention to him, yet he had never expected this ordinary old man to hide his strength so well. Old man Hun Mo, you are here. Does your Hun clan really plan on breaking the agreement? Jiyu Nanhai and the elders from the other ancient clans revealed extremely ugly expressions as they looked at this black-eyebrowed old man. Their eyes vaguely contained some fear. The agreement is nothing when it comes to the demonic flame essence. This old black-eyebrowed man, who was called Old Man Hun Mo, smiled. His eyes swept over Xiao Yang's group, but he did not attack. Instead, he softly sighed and shifted his eyes to the distant empty space. He inquired, Old demon from the small pill tower, why are you still hiding yourself now that this old man has shown himself? The hearts of everyone quivered after hearing the words of Old Man Hun Mo. Many startled eyes looked to that space. Was there actually an expert, whom they were unaware of, hidden there? The old demon from the small pill tower? Xiao Yang's eyes also looked in that direction. A thought passed through his heart. Could it be that this Old Man Hun Mo was referring to the mysterious ancestor of the small pill tower? His heart involuntarily rejoiced upon coming to this conclusion. Regardless of the situation, both the pill tower and him were on the same side. This mysterious ancestor would likely not feel any enmity against Xiao Yang's group if he appeared. I knew that the Hun clan would not play by the rules. That space was quiet for a moment as all gazes present focused on it. Finally, it began to fluctuate. An unusually old and experienced voice suddenly remarked. The ripple in the space became more intense the moment this sound appeared. Soon, a bull stepped onto empty air and appeared in this space while it let out a low moo. The eyes of Xiao Yang's group landed on this bull, or perhaps, the person on the bull. However, they were startled after getting a good look at his appearance because an elderly person was not what they saw. The person on the bull had a small figure. He was wearing ordinary rough clothes. His eyes were clear, and his face appeared tender. From his appearance, he appeared as though he was a boy in his teens. Numerous pairs of eyes were completely stunned as they looked at the youth on the back of the bull. They were momentarily speechless. They had not expected the elderly voice from earlier to have come from the mouth of a youth. First elder mentioned that the ancestor likes to have fun experiencing lives. He continues to borrow bodies to be reborn. From the looks of it, this is indeed true. Old demon, you still like to act mysterious like in the past. Old man Hun Mo looked at the cow-rearing youth. He coldly laughed coldly, but his originally ancient well-like eyes had gained an additional fear. I would not have needed to show myself if the Hun clan played by the rules. The cow-rearing youth stretched his lazy waist and smiled as spoke. His unusually clear eyes looked at old man Hun Mo as he laughed. This rule was agreed upon back then, yet the Hun clan has actually dispatched you. I wonder what the clan's intentions are. My Hun clan must obtain the demonic flame essence. Old demon, it is best that you do not be a busybody. My clan head is very interested in you. After so many years, your current self has probably already reached the peak of the 9th tier of the Shen pill. Should you advance further, that will be the legendary tier 9 golden pill. Even my clan head will not be able to restrain himself from attacking you. Old man Hun Mo laughed a strange laugh. The cow herder faintly smiled upon hearing this claim. He replied, it is not as though he has craved me only recently, but even if I were to deliver myself to his mouth, do you think he would dare to eat me? You should stop trying to use your age as an advantage. Once my clan head exits his retreat, he will naturally force you to understand the fate of opposing my Hun clan. Old man Hun Mo's eyes turned cold as he spoke. Bang! The black light curtain a short distance away was suddenly blasted apart after old man Hun Mo spoke. A figure flew back. One of them spat out a couple mouthfuls of fresh blood along the way. Only then did he stabilize his body while wearing a pale expression. From his appearance, he was clearly the chief of the Hall of Souls, who had unleashed the light curtain earlier in an attempt to trap Xiao Chen. Hun Miesheng, you have really humiliated the name of the chief of the Hall of Souls. Old man Hun Mo knit his brows and made a comment after seeing how miserable the chief of the Hall of Souls looked. Old ghost, you should stop trying to suppress me with your age. You should be even more aware of that fellow's background compared to me. The chief of the Hall of Souls wiped the trace of blood off from the corner of his mouth as he furiously cried out. He had already guessed the other party's identity when he took out that huge blood-colored axe earlier. The only person who could use this strange weapon in such a sharp fashion within the Xiao clan was the renowned Xiao clan's blood axe Xiao Chen from back then. However, no one had expected this person, who had gone missing, to appear in such a place at this moment. Blood axe Xiao Chen, it is unexpected that you have survived until now. However, it could be considered a blessing. If you had been in the Xiao clan, your fate would have been similar to Xiao Xian and the rest. Old man Hun Mo lifted his head. He looked at Xiao Chen as Xiao Chen slowly walked over while holding his large blood-colored axe. An ice-cold luster flashed across his eyes. Xiao Chen's footsteps paused. He glanced at old man Hun Mo and slightly frowned. He sensed an aura that was far stronger than the chief of the Hall of Souls from the other party. This aura was such that it would not be easy for him to defeat the other party. The Xiao clan is indeed an insect that will not remain still no matter how it is beaten down. Xiao Chen, you deserve to be congratulated for living until now. The cow-herding youth slightly smiled. He was extremely old and it was possible for him to address Xiao Chen, an old demon who had lived for thousands of years, as an equal. You are that fellow from the Pill Tower back then. Xiao Chen's eyes glanced at the young cowherd. Although Pill Tower Elder's appearance had drastically changed, Xiao Chen was still extremely familiar with that unique aura. Moreover, there seemed to be only one person in the entire world who possessed such an aura. The young cowherd smiled. His smile appeared extremely sentimental on that youthful face, but everyone understood that an ancient feeling of having seen through everything was hidden within that smile. Ancestor. The first elder from the small Pill Tower had finally recovered from his shock at this moment. He immediately knelt down. In his excitement, even tears had begun to flow down his old face. Even he had only managed to meet this guardian of the Pill Tower a couple of times. He was incomparably excited now that they had met again. You are little Mo, right? It is unexpected that you have also become a Dosheng. The young cowherd smiled. He gently waved his small hand and the first elder was lifted to his feet. Now is not the time to catch up on old times. Xiao Yang, hand the demonic flame essence to me. Xiao Yang was slightly startled upon hearing the words of this young cowherd. He raised his head and saw a warm smile on the youth's small face. Although this smile appeared extremely strange on a youth, one would instantly trust him for some unknown reason. This old fellow has turned into a child. How strange, Ziyang softly muttered beside Xiao Yang's ear. Isn't this something that you liked to do most back then? Xiao Yang bitterly smiled and shook his head. He clenched his teeth. With a wave of his sleeve, he threw the black light pillar toward the young cowherd. Old man Hun Ho's eyes became slightly cold when Xiao Yang threw the black light pillar. A cold snort sounded beside everyone's ears like muffled thunder. That snort contained an extremely powerful spiritual assault, causing the heads of many people to emit a giddy feeling. Advanced 5-star Do Sheng. What a frightening strength this old fellow boast. Xiao Yang's eardrums emitted waves of piercing pain. His heart was filled with shock. The strength of this old fellow was far too frightening. If they were to fight head-on, Xiao Yang would probably not even be able to receive one strike. Swoosh. Old man Hun Mo's body disappeared after the cold snort left his mouth. The next instant, he appeared near the light pillar and reached out to grab it. However, old man Hun Mo suddenly discovered that the space around him had strangely undergone a change while his hand was about to land on the light pillar. The space shook and his body appeared where the young cowherd had been. The youth, however, had strangely appeared at the spot where old man Hun Mo had been earlier, as though the both of them had changed positions in an instant. Such an unexpected swap had caused everyone to feel flabbergasted. They had not even detected the reason for the switch. Spatial shift. 6-star Do Sheng? You have actually broken through to the 6th star of the Do Sheng class? Old man Hun Mo stood in the air at a loss. He suddenly recovered an instant later and involuntarily cried out in shock. There existed a great gap between every level within the Do Sheng class. The chief of the Hall of Souls was able to easily defeat Ziyang after leaping from the advanced 4th star of the Do Sheng class to the initial 5th star of the Do Sheng class. One could gain an idea of the enormous gap between the two from this. Even though this old man Hun Mo was an advanced 5-star Do Sheng, he did not possess an ability to retaliate against this young cowherd, whose strength had reached the 6th star. The chief of the Hall of Souls, the deputy chief, and Hun Feng revealed somewhat ugly expressions when they saw this exchange. They were completely silent. A 6-star Do Sheng was extremely rare even in the Hun clan. Only a handful of Grand Elders possessed such a strength. It was unexpected that the ancestor of the small pill tower had reached such a terrifying level. No wonder the Hun clan would stop the Hall of Souls each time it wanted to attack the pill tower. It was because the small pill tower could call on such an existence. The young cowherd ignored the exclamation of disbelief from old man Hun Mo. He grabbed the black light with his small hand. He slowly observed the demonic flame essence within it in front of Xiao Yang's anxious eyes. Old demon, are you planning to be enemies with my Hun clan? Old man Hun Mo cried out in a stern voice while wearing a dark and cold expression. How foolish. The young cowherd glanced at him and shook his head. He randomly tossed the light pillar into the sky. Old man Hun Mo revealed a joyous face. He was just about to snatch it when he hurriedly stopped himself because of the young cowherd's next sentence. Purifying demonic lotus flame, you are indeed worthy of being ranked 3rd on the heavenly flame ranking. You have purposefully allowed yourself to be sealed in order to see them fight among themselves. All you need to do is to benefit from their fighting. You have hidden yourself very deeply, but you cannot hide from me. Come out. The young cowherd slowly lifted his head. He stared at the churning black light pillar in the sky. His clear eyes stared at the demonic flame essence inside as he indifferently laughed. The young cowherd's indifferent voice slowly sounded. Everyone's expressions drastically changed. Numerous pairs of eyes landed on that churning black light pillar in the sky while feeling their mind go numb. This purifying demonic lotus flame had allowed itself to be captured. How can it be possible? Hu Yarrow and the few experts who had cooperated earlier muttered with stunned faces. If this was the case, this purifying demonic lotus flame was indeed a little too frightening. A heavenly flame that schemed against people. Even people like them were only witnessing such a thing for the first time. This. Xiao Yang's face was filled with surprise as he exchanged glances with Zun After which, he slowly nodded. Given the frightening strength of the ancestor of the small pill tower, it would be quite difficult for him to make a mistake. What nonsense. Regardless of how strong the purifying demonic lotus flame is, it would definitely have difficulty escaping my Hun clan's Qianluo sealing demon formation. The chief of the Hall of Souls revealed a somewhat ugly expression as he spoke in a deep voice. The eyes of old man Mo Hun by the side flickered. He stared at the black light pillar in the sky, but he did not voice any doubt. He had came into contact with the ancestor of the pill tower a couple of times. Naturally, he understood that the ancestor of the pill tower was not someone who uttered nonsense. Since the youth had put it this way, he ought to be confident in his words. The ancestor of the pill tower did not give an explanation despite everyone's doubtful eyes. He merely observed the churning black light pillar. He finally spoke in a faint voice a moment later after seeing that it had not reacted, Since you are unwilling to reveal yourself, I can only force you to do so. The ancestor of the pill Toi flicked his finger after his words sounded. A black line suddenly erupted from the tip of his finger. The black line might appear weak, but space itself quietly formed a vacuum wherever it passed. It rushed toward the black light pillar with lightning-like speed. The speed of the black line was so quick that it left one speechless. In an instant, it was only half a foot from the light pillar, but the sealed demonic flame essence violently trembled before the black line struck it. An earth-shaking fire wave surged in all directions as the black light pillar exploded apart in front of everyone's stunned eyes. Old demon, you have ruined my plans again. Are you trying to seek death? Cream-white flames swept across the sky as a figure formed in this sea of flames. It was that white-robed, purifying demonic lotus flame. The heavenly flame was glaring at the ancestor of the pill tower with a dark and cold expression as he furiously cried out. This fellow has really purposefully allowed himself to be sealed. The hearts of Xiao Yang and the others violently pounded upon seeing the figure form. The expression of the chief of the Hall of Souls became uglier. It was clearly extremely easy for the purifying demonic lotus flame to break the seal earlier. From this, one could tell that the words of the ancestor of the pill tower had indeed been true. This purifying demonic lotus flame had allowed itself to be sealed in order to reap the gains from their conflicts. This cunning was really on a different level. Purifying demonic lotus flame, your character is extremely brutal. If you are allowed to enter the central plains, you will definitely leave a destruction in your wake. It was due to this that the purifying demonic lotus saint chose to seal you when he was reaching the end of his life back then. Therefore, you cannot leave this place. The ancestor of the pill tower lifted his somewhat tender face, looked at the purifying demonic lotus flame standing in the air, and slowly explained. That old bastard. I accompanied him for 1,000 years. I at least put in the effort for him, yet he did not care about our ties and actually sealed me. Finally, he ended up suffering from my backlash. That was his retribution. Moreover, whether I can leave is not up to you to decide. Even though you have currently advanced to a 6-star Dosheng, it is still not enough to stop me. The purifying demonic lotus flame's eyes turned cold as he stated. The ancestor of the pill tower softly sighed. His eyes glanced at Old Man Hun Mo a short distance away. Seeing him look over, Old Man Hun Mo strangely laughed and said, Old demon, you should fight alone if you wish to deal with it. Our Hun clan does feel obligated to protect the whatever central plains. It will be easier for our Hun clan to capture it should it leave the demonic flame realm and head to the central plains. This Old Man Hun Mo was unusually cunning. Although he spoke without a care, he was clearly planning on idly watching tigers fight. He would wait for the ancestor of the pill tower and the purifying demonic lotus flame to fight. Then, he would benefit from the outcome when the time came. The ancestor of the pill tower was unsurprised when he heard Old Man Hun Mo's words. Hence, he withdrew his eyes. Elder, do you need us to fight? Xiao Yang cupped his hands together and asked. This purifying demonic lotus flame was unusually terrifying. Although the ancestor of the pill tower was unfathomable, it would definitely be an extremely intense battle if they were to fight. It is unnecessary. Currently, none of you will be able to help. The ancestor of the pill tower smiled and shook his head upon hearing this question. His toes pressed against the boule. His short body penetrated the sea of fire and appeared in front of the purifying demonic lotus flame. He said, the seal that the purifying lotus demon saint had placed is not easily broken. Even though you have borrowed the world tide to tear through to the world, the seal will naturally reform, following the withdrawal of the world tide. As long as I delay you until that time comes, you will not be able to leave this place. In that case, we'll have to see if you have the ability to stop me. The purifying demonic lotus flame coldly laughed. Both of his hands suddenly changed. The cream-white flames that permeated the sky around him swiftly returned to him before they agglomerated into a 100,000-foot-tall fire giant amid many stunned eyes. Demonic flame divine statue. The fire giant's legs were inserted into the sea of magma below. Its incomparably large body caused one's soul to tremble. With a punch from this giant, even an elite Do Sheng would likely be shattered into nothing. Old ghost, die. The purifying demonic lotus flame stood on the head of the divine figure. His eyes looked at the ant-like figures below as he gave a dense smile. That demon flame statue suddenly lifted its mountain-like fist before throwing it toward the pill tower ancestor. This punch had only just been thrown when the surface of the sea of magma 100,000 feet below revealed a huge magma spiral that was tens of thousands of feet in size. Air itself seemed to crazily whistle. The expressions of Xiao Yang's group involuntarily became pale when they sensed this fist wind that was filled with a destructive force. Regardless of whether it was Zi Yang or Jiyu Nanhai, anyone who received this strike head-on would instantly turn into dust. The figure of the ancestor of the pill tower remained suspended in the sky. His eyes stared at the giant fist that seemed to fall like a meteorite. He widened his mouth and a bright golden light erupted from it. The light turned into an enormous light curtain that covered the sky. Bang! The giant fist of the statue violently smashed into the golden light curtain. A frightening wind assault immediately swept apart. One could hear a crack form in the space within 100,000 feet before everything exploded into a charred black mess. The area around them blasted apart as the two fought. Pill merging sky. The finger of the ancestor of the Pill Tower was lifted. A drop of green blood seeped out of his pores. One seemed to be able to glimpse the strand of golden luster in that dense green color. This green-colored blood swiftly flew toward the demonic flame divine figure the moment it escaped the ancestor's body. It became larger as it flew. Within a short instant, it had turned into a 1,000-foot-large green light ray. The light ray was accompanied by a dense fragrance as it shot through the sky. Finally, it smashed into the chest of the divine statue made of demonic flames with lightning-like speed. Green light immediately filled one's vision, but one could see over half of the divine statue made of demonic flames melting away. The ability of this old demon is becoming more terrifying. He is even able to melt the demonic flame. A grave expression flashed across Old Man Hun Mo's eyes in the distance after seeing the flame melt. Roar! The purifying demonic lotus flame became furious after the demonic flame statue was seriously damaged. Everything in the world possessed something that complemented it and something that was its nemesis. The actual form of the ancestor of the Pill Tower was a medicinal pill. Common sense dictated that he should be extremely afraid of such a flame, but as the strength of the ancestor from the Pill Tower increased, a mutation had begun to form in his body. This mutation suppressed things related to fire. This suppression had caused the purifying demonic lotus flame to feel a great pressure. Old demon, whoever dares hinder my escape today will be refined alive by me. Your actual form is a pill. I wish to see what you will turn into if I refine you again. The purifying demonic lotus flame roared at the sky. His body suddenly charged to the horizon. Many cream-colored lines of fire shot out in all directions. They shot across the entire demonic flame realm. Refining sky ancient array, appear. The purifying demonic lotus flame loudly cried out after these fire lines shot deep into the realm before a loud rumbling sound was emitted. After which, everyone was shocked to see 100,000-foot large fire array slowly appear in the empty sky. Rumble. The endless magma sea begun to churn soon after the large array appeared in the sky. Soon, even it slowly formed an extremely huge fire formation in front of everyone's stunned eyes. Both the expression of the ancestor of the Pill Tower and the expression of Old Man Hun Mo became ugly when these two fire formation appeared, one above, one below. Ha ha, old demon, you didn't expect this, did you? The large ceiling formation that the purifying demonic lotus saint had personally placed is being used by me. I have already comprehended all its mysteries during these few thousand years. Who will be able to fight me within this demonic flame realm now? The ancient array that covered the realm slowly rotated while the purifying demonic flame laughed to the sky. It is going to be troublesome this time around. Everyone observed these formations as they inhaled a breath of cold air. These terrifying formations were many times stronger than the Tianluo ceiling demon formation the chief of the Hall of Souls had used earlier. Ziyang and the others stared at the huge formations, one in the sky and one above the earth. A great wave seemed to be rising within their hearts. If either of these large arrays were to unleash even a little energy, they would easily kill everyone. While everyone was feeling shocked because of the sudden changes, Xiao Yang suddenly grabbed his forehead. That mysterious light cluster within his head suddenly trembled. That shaking appeared as though something was about to awaken. This video will end here.